Hi Starport peeps, this is Melanie, and we're going to be doing self-myofascial release. Now, I want to welcome everyone, whether you've done this with me before or not. I just want to welcome you. I'm going to cover a few basics in just a moment, but first, I'd like to let you know about contraindications, and the National Academy of Sports Medicine recommends that if you have any of these conditions or have had any of these conditions, it's recommended that you consult a physician before performing self-myofascial release. So things like congestive heart failure, any kind of organ failure, such as the liver, kidney, or pancreas, blood clots, or skin conditions that are contagious, or sutures, bursitis, fractures that are still healing, if you've had an aneurysm or have blood clots, advanced diabetes, osteoporosis, or if you've had any kind of infection of bone tissue or soft tissue, advanced degenerative changes, and there's a long list, but that is the majority of the list that they have. So if you've had any of those, please do consult your physician before proceeding. Now, some basic things that you need to know. For every muscle, we're going to roll 1 inch per second. And if your pain threshold is 10, 10 being the highest that you could ever stand, we're only going to pause when we find something between a pain threshold of 3 to 6. So we're looking for what's commonly referred to as knots in the muscle or trigger points in the muscle, okay? And only stop for 3 to 6, where if it's closer to a 3, we can stay on that point longer. If it's more towards a 6, we're gonna only wanna stay on it about 30 seconds, and then in between for 4 and 5. 7 and above, keep moving. And also, if you ever sense any pinching, numbness, or tingling, I want you to keep going because you found a nerve right there and your body's expressing displeasure, okay? So remember, pinching, numbness, or tingling, move on, or anything pain threshold 7 or higher, move on. So you're gonna wanna remember to keep a nice neutral posture all the way up to the top of your head as much as possible. And I'll try to show a few alternate positions for some of the techniques, for some of the muscles that we're going to roll. And here we go. All right, so I'm gonna start with down here just above my ankle and roll. Basically, I'm gonna move my way up the body. And that's how I just kind of keep track of what I've done and not done. So taking the roller, placing it just above my ankle. Now, I'm gonna roll the underside of my leg. This is the Achilles and the calf, as they're commonly known, or the soleus and gastrocnemius. This will be my working leg, whichever one is on the roller. This is my non-working leg when it's not on the roller, okay? Now, if you have shoulder pain or tension, I recommend doing what I'm gonna do. And so, whereas I'm gonna be lifting my body off of the floor to move myself down the roller, but I'm gonna let myself down onto the floor at times just to give my shoulders a break, okay? So here we go. With this non-working leg on the floor, my hands are here and about at my hips. My working leg is nice and relaxed and straight, and I'm going to lift my hips off of the floor and move myself down the roller, letting the roller move 1 inch per second. Notice I let myself down to reposition my hands and come back again. And as I get to the point right underneath my knee, I'm going to turn around and come back 1 inch per second. Now, did you notice any trigger points in there? Why don't you pause the video right here and give yourself some time? Because after all, this is a search and destroy, as some of you know that I like to call it that. But no, in all seriousness, this is not going to necessarily feel good while we're doing it, but the whole point is that we find these trigger points, and by putting pressure on them for a certain amount of time, if we do this the right way, we're actually going to release tension from our muscles, and we'll actually feel better afterwards. Okay, so pause the video. All right, and moving on from there, if I switch to this side so you can see a little bit better, I'm going to place this roller underneath my leg, just above my ankle again. Non-working leg is going to help me move down the floor. I'm going to pick myself up and roll 1 inch per second. Here, let me move so that, keep rolling. There we go. Keep more of me in the video. There we go, perfect. Working leg is nice and relaxed. I'm gonna roll till I get to just below my knee. It doesn't help us to roll over a joint because we're just trying to release tension in the muscles. So when you get to the next joint, turn around and go back, remembering to pause for a pain threshold of 3 to 6. So how about pause the video here to give yourself another minute or two for those trigger points. Okay, and moving on. While I'm on this side, so my feet are on the floor, knees are bent, I'm gonna palpate this big fat tendon on the back side of my knee. That right there is connected to the biceps femoris, okay? So as you can see, this is the side of my leg, but this is the IT band that goes partway down the muscle and inserts into the vastus medialis oblique, the VMO. We're not going to be rolling here on our side, okay? We're going to be rolling back here on the back side, the edge of the back side of our leg, because that's what this big tendon is connected to, okay? So we're here, not here. Got it? All right, so I'm going to place the roller right on that tendon right there. And I'm not going to be on a full-on side plank, but I'm going to be kind of angled back a little bit. It's going to be hard to see from the video. This leg, I'm going to just lengthen it out, nice and relaxed. My non-working leg, I've already, before I lift my hips off the floor, I've already brought it over. My arm is kind of behind me and just behind my hips, and I'm going to pick myself up off the floor, try to get like a nice line going up my body, and move the roller 2/3 of the way up the back edge of my leg. This is the biceps femoris. Not everybody will have tension in this muscle, but pause the video here so that you can explore that for a few more seconds. All right, so moving on. Placing the roller under this tendon. Remember, this is the back side of the leg, not on the side. I won't be on a full-on side plank. I'm going to go ahead and bring my non-working leg over, and relax this working leg. It's totally lengthened out. I know I'm moving off of the edge of the video, so let me move here. There we go. All right, so now you can see I'm only going to be moving 2/3 of the way up the muscle. This is the biceps femoris on the back part of my leg. This is the side of my leg, but I'm on the back side of my leg. And how about pause the video here so that you can explore if there's any trigger points in your biceps femoris. Okay, so moving on. Here I'm going to need to move the mat forward a bit. All right. So now we're going to be rolling over the quadriceps. I'm only going to do one muscle at a time. I know some of you guys like to do 2 at a time, but I highly recommend you just roll 1 at a time, just to focus on this one muscle group, okay? We've actually got 4 muscles here. This could take us a while to do, but for the sake of time, because I know when the video is going to automatically cut off on me, I'm not going to be taking my time. So if you're wondering why I keep telling you to pause the video, it's because I know how much time I have left. All right, so I'm coming down into a frontal plank. I am gonna be on my forearms for this. Now, if you have a tendency, like if you know the inside of your legs are tight, you're not gonna be able to butterfly all the way out. Now, I am gonna butterfly all the way out, but here is an alternate method. Now, you can move your knee back behind you a little bit. Try to keep the knee pointed out to the side a bit, because otherwise, if you are right on your kneecap, it's gonna tend to hurt. Now, if you can get your knee onto the mat, that's gonna be better. It's gonna feel better. So that's why I like to butterfly out this way. I come into a full-on side plank. Let me rotate my body just a little bit here and move up this way. There you go. Now you can see this part of the, I wanted to show you a couple of different angles. So now the roller's just above my knee, and I'm going to start rolling 1 inch per second. My arms are helping me move the roller up my muscle. I'm looking for a pain threshold of 3 to 6, where 10 is the highest. And remember to pause on those trigger points. How about pause the video here so that you can explore the trigger points in your quadriceps in this leg. All right, so now I'm gonna get the other leg. And I'm gonna move to this side so you can see a little bit. So placing the roller just above my knee, I'm gonna lengthen this leg out nice and relaxed as I come down onto the floor. Now remember, I'm butterflying out here, but remember to move that knee back if your adductor is too tight to do it this way. I'm coming down into a full frontal plank, and I'm going to roll 1 inch per second up to my hip. And how about pause the video here so that you can explore any other places where you have tension in your quadriceps. Okay. All right, the moment I know you have all been waiting for. Okay, so let me move back here so you can see what I'm gonna do. So getting onto your knees, I want you to palpate this muscle, okay? This time we're palpating a muscle. So if I can get back far enough so you can see me. So if I rotate the bottom part of my leg, so like my knee down, if I rotate this out, this is an internal hip rotation, okay? Because it's moving my hip inward, okay? So if I make this motion, now find the top of your hip bone where it pokes out the most, and just below that, there's a little soft spot. Find that soft spot. Now rotate like that again, and you should feel something moving right there. Same thing on the other side, palpate that one. Pause the video if you need to give yourself a little bit more time, but it's just below that point on your hip bone that sticks out the most. But that's where we're gonna come down onto the roller. That is our access point to the TFL. So I'm gonna come down onto the TFL. So my working leg becomes straight. My non-working leg, I'm gonna cross over into the front. Now, see, I came down right on it here. If you need a moment, pause the video to adjust. Now, to find the trigger point in the TFL, I'm just going to rotate forward just a little bit, very small movements, just a couple of degrees, or rotate back and a few degrees in the other direction. I might also move up the roller just a little bit, maybe a half an inch or something, very small movement, or move down the roller, just a small amount. The TFL access point is, and that's a term that I use, but it's very small, and you might have some tightness here. So if you need, just take a moment, pause the video here to just give yourself some time to relieve tension. All right, so moving on, I wanted to move down the roller a little bit to give myself more space in the video. So moving on, I'm going to move my body up the mat where the roller moves down my body. So using my hands and my non-working leg here, I'm going to keep my working leg relaxed and move down from the TFL. We're coming onto the IT band. This is very commonly tight on most people. So if it hurts too much, please just keep going. Remember, only a pain threshold of 3 to 6. 3 to 6. And take a moment and pause the video so that you can give yourself a little bit more time on this muscle, because I'm pretty confident that this one is a very tight muscle. It might be a toss-up between the TFL, the quads, and the adductors, but those seem to be some of the tighter muscles on most people. All right. All right, now that you're back, so I'm going to come down on this side onto the TFL once again. Remember, that's that small spot that we palpated just below the hip bone. I lengthen out my working leg, and now my non-working leg I bring over to the front. Remember, this is just a small movement forward or back or up or down the roller, just to see if there's a tight spot in our TFL. Pause the video here so that you can give yourself time to explore any tension in the TFL on this side of your body. All right, so now that you've had some time to release some tension in the TFL, we're going to move our body up the mat this way. The roller will go down the leg 2/3 of the way most. This is going onto the IT band, iliotibial band. This is commonly tight on most people. So here we go. Remember, pain threshold of 3 to 6. How about pause the video here to give yourself time to explore any tension that you have in your iliotibial band. All right. All right, so now what I'm going to do, trying to scoot myself back. Excuse me, I've got a little bit of allergies. Not as much as it has been, so that's good. So I'm going to take my roller and place it underneath my knees. So it's just under here. Now, I want you to take one hand and have it on the floor by your hips, and the other hand is here, still on the roller. What we're going to do is pin the roller down in place and push ourselves up off of the floor onto the roller. So I am sitting on top of the roller. I'm just trying to move myself back so you can see me a little bit better. All right, so now I'm sitting on the roller. That's how we did that. I'm going to swing out this way so you can see a little bit better what I'm doing. Okay, so now I'm going to lengthen my legs out. If I'm going to choose, let's see, it's a short roller, so I get to move myself over. So the side that I'm going to do first, I want to move myself down the roller the opposite way since I have a short roller. That's what I'm doing. So I'm going to take this leg as my working leg first, bring it up so that the ankle is just past my knee. Okay? My ankle is not on my knee. It's just past my knee, just above it. Now I'm going to take this foot and bring it up, which is causing some tension in this part of my leg. I'm going to feel a little bit of tightness here some stretching. Now, I'm sitting mostly straight, right? But now I want to rotate just a little bit in this direction. So my knee is pointed this way. That's the direction I'm going to rotate. A very small amount. So with one hand on the floor, I'm going to just make some small movements, rotating this way until I feel the tension in the piriformis. This is the piriformis. Now, just like the TFL, this is a very small access point. So I'm going to roll forward just a small amount, roll back just a small amount. I might rotate this way a little bit, rotate back a little bit until I find some tight spots here. So why not pause the video here for just a minute or two to explore any tension that you have here in the piriformis on this side. Now, since we've done that, I'm going to straighten out my non-working leg, bring my working leg down to the floor. Remember I have a short roller, so I'm going to scoot myself over to the other side of my roller. Okay, now this becomes my working leg, so I bring this one up. Notice my ankle, if you can see it, my ankle is here. It's just past my knee, okay? So I bring it just past my knee. It's not actually on my knee. I'm gonna bring this foot up and hold it here in place. I start to feel a little bit of tension here in this leg. Now, remember, I'm just gonna rotate in this direction. So my knee points out this way. That means I rotate slightly this way. So this hand goes onto the floor, well, just behind the roller, just behind my body here. And I roll this way just a little bit. And remember, these are just really small movements for the piriformis. How about pause the video here so that you can explore any tightness that you have in the piriformis on this side. Okay, now that we've done that, bring this non-working leg out. Now bring the working leg out to the floor. Now, I'm going to bring myself off of the mat. Remember how we got up, or onto the mat rather. Remember I held on to the roller and I pushed myself off of the floor to get on it. I do the opposite to get off of it. All right, one more muscle in our legs. Bring the mat forward again this way. All right, this is the adductors. So between the quads, the adductors, and the TFL, wow, I really wish we were in the same room together because, we could do a go back because there are, muscles that are commonly tight, and those are some of the ones there. The piriformis is also another, but those other three are usually the ones that are more tight. All right, so for the adductors, these are the ones that are inside your leg. They're on the inside of your leg. So I'm going to show you a modification, and then I'm going to get into the position that I'll be in. So if you have very flexible adductors, then I'm just going to butterfly my leg all the way out. Well, kind of like what we did for rolling the quads, except this time the roller will be here. However, not everybody is that flexible. Some people are really tight here. So here's a modification. Keeping this leg in line with my entire body, I come down into a frontal plank. Now, instead of butterflying all the way out, I'm going to rotate my entire body towards the roller, which I place just inside the knee on my adductor. Okay? And so now from here, I would roll from just above my knee to the inside of my leg. Now, go ahead and start rolling. Now I'm going to reposition myself so that I'm in a full frontal plank. Okay? So if you have flexible adductors, then you'll be able to do this. And now I'm going to roll this way so that the roller starts to move up the inside of my leg. How about pause the video here so that you can take your time and explore any trigger points that you have in the adductor in this leg. Remember to roll 1 inch per second, looking for a pain threshold of 3 to 6. And move on if there's any pinching, numbness, or tingling, or pain threshold 7 or above. Awesome. All right, so let's get our other adductor. I'm going to move over into this direction. Hopefully you can see me okay. There we go. So once again, I'm going to get into a full frontal plank, but if you are, if you have too much tightness here on the inside of your adductor and both sides of your body are not tight the same amount, okay? So just honor your body. So placing the roller just above your knee on the inner part of your leg. Remember to rotate your body a little bit towards the roller if your muscle is tight here. Otherwise, I'm going to get into a full butterfly position and a frontal plank, and I'm going to roll 1 inch per second, pain threshold of 3 to 6. Notice I'm using my arms to move my body up the roller, stopping just right at my hip, and then turning around and going back. How about pause the video here so that you can explore any trigger points that you have in the adductor on this side of your body. All right, awesome. Let's do one more. Now, this is really important. So I'm going to move closer to the video to make sure that you can hear me and kind of see what I'm going to try to point to. We're going to roll our thoracic spine. Now there's 3 parts to your spine: the lumbar spine, the thoracic spine, and the cervical spine. But only one of those is one that you can roll. The other 2, you should never roll over those. The lumbar spine and the cervical spine, you should never roll over. So where are those located on the back? Basically, between your shoulder blades, so right about here and down is your lumbar spine. You should never roll in that area. From the top of, let me see if I can point with this one, from the top of your shoulder blade on up, where it goes to your head, this is your cervical spine up in here. And we should never roll over the cervical spine. So all that leaves us is rolling between the bottom part of our shoulder blade to the top part of our shoulder blade. You ready? So I'm going to move back towards the mat again. All right, so I've got the roller behind me. Let me move down the mat a little bit here. Actually, I'm going to move a little this way. All right, so I'm going to come back onto the roller. Notice I'm just kind of coming back. Now, I'm leaning my head up so that I can talk to you a little bit, but what I want you to do is bring your hands behind your head and find a spot on the ceiling directly above you. Okay? I want you to find that spot on the ceiling and keep your eyes on it, and you're going to keep your arms in this position here, holding your head. Be careful not to pull on your spine like this. Just keep your head in a nice neutral position. Notice it's a nice neutral position going up, like as if I was sitting straight up. Okay, same thing. All right, so placing the roller, actually now I'm at the top of my shoulder blades, so I'm going to roll down my shoulder blades. But if you started with the roller at the bottom of your shoulder blades, then you're going to roll up. So I'm going to take my feet here And I'm gonna lift my hips off the floor just a little bit and finish rolling to the top of my shoulder blades, which wasn't very far. And now roll to the bottom of my shoulder blades here. It's not a very long motion. And I'm going to turn my head back to where I can look to the ceiling now, just like you're doing. All right. So take another moment if you need. And that's all the time that we have for today. I'm so glad that you joined me. I apologize that this video is really short, but I've learned where my video automatically cuts off on me, and we're almost to that point. So this is why I invite you to go back through this video, pause it at the points where I say to pause, and give yourself a little bit more time. And I do want to encourage you to do go backs on your own. I know you're like, the teacher's not here, I don't have to do go backs, but this is for you, right? This is for you, for releasing tension in your muscles. And you can go, get some water, come back, and then sit down and go again. And I bet you have some tension relieved in your muscles already from even just 5-10 minutes ago. I think you'll notice a difference. You guys are awesome. You're winners. Thanks for joining me. See you next time. Ciao.